Tonight, the apprehension of a newborn sparks louder calls for changes to the system.
The government of Canada and the people are not holding up to that agreement.
Whether they knew it or not, early morning commuters were part of a show of support for the Unist'ot'en.
These projects bring my heart out and make me want to do something phenomenal. They tell incredible stories about incredible people.
And a Metis director brings another production to life. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Hobson. Earlier this week, a video of a Manitoba newborn being apprehended by Manitoba officials went viral. The video has sparked feelings that change needs to happen in the child welfare system. Ashley Branson brings us this.
Great,
Can we just have like 5-15 minutes?
No, sorry.
There's no time to say goodbye.
No, it has to be right now.
This Facebook video shows a newborn girl being taken away from her family by Winnipeg Police and Manitoba Child and Family Services. This is not new in Manitoba. It's estimated a newborn baby is apprehended every day. Now, the First Nations family advocate has had enough. A press conference was organized to show support for the family. The mother and family members were in attendance, but were unable to identify them due to the Child Welfare Act. A family member who was at the hospital with the mother reflects on how they felt in the situation.
It was hard for me. It was a hard experience.
Family members told media the reason for the apprehension was because CFS was informed the mother was intoxicated while giving birth. The mother and family say that's not true. Despite these circumstances, the mother remains optimistic.
And I'm very hopeful, like things are going to work out in a positive way. It's unfortunate how things happened, and good things are going to come out of this. I feel very confident on that.
The family was surrounded by Indigenous leaders, including Manitoba, Kiiwetinoong, Okimakanak, Grand Chief Garrison Settee. He's calling for change in the child welfare system.
We cannot be victims anymore. We're rising up. There's a transformation that's happening among our people. We're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to be victims anymore, but we're going to rise up as the warriors we were created to be. It's time to change the system. The system is wrong. The system is not for our people. Let's end it today. I hope.
Ashley Branson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We want to hear what you think. Here's how to continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. Find us online at aptnnews.ca and on youtube.com/APTN News. Also, you can follow APTN News on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more Indigenous news. A group of Inuit who were forced by the government to relocate several times will be receiving an official apology later this month. The Ahiarmariut's original home was at the Inanade Lake, west of the Nunavut town of Arviat. From 1949 to 1959, they were forced to move several times, eventually ending up in Arviat. Survivors and children of survivors received a $5 million settlement back in August. Now, on January 22nd, they will also receive a full apology from Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Carolyn Bennett. Time for a quick break. Coming up, solidarity events for those opposing a pipeline project in BC continue. Here is Saturday's weather forecast beginning on the East Coast. -10 in Charlottetown, -9 in Halifax, -10 in Nain, -15 in snow in La Grande River. In Montreal, -13 in sun, -19 in Val-d'Or, -14 in sunny skies in North Bay, -18 in Sault Ste. Marie, -15 in sun in Wawa, -13 in Big Trout Lake. In northern Manitoba, -9 in Churchill, -10 in the Pas, -8 for Barons River, Princess Harbour, and Gimli. In Saskatchewan, bright skies and -8 in North Battleford, -4 in Saskatoon, -7 in Stony Rapids, and -8 in Uranium City. There is an uneasy peace in northern BC this morning. Hereditary chiefs of the Unist'ot'en tribe have reached a deal with RCMP to prevent further clashes with land protectors.
One of the barriers will be taken down, but that does not mean that we support this project.
The chiefs now say they'll obey a court ruling giving natural gas company Coastal GasLink access to a bridge that had been blocked in their territory. The company says it has signed agreements with the Indian Act First Nations along the pipeline route, but some hereditary leaders and their followers oppose the project. 14 people were arrested at a blockade near Houston, British Columbia Monday, triggering countrywide rallies. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau faced another tough crowd at a town hall in Saskatchewan, fielding questions on immigration, Indigenous rights, and pipelines.
For 10 years, the pipelines weren't able to be built. We did not get resources to new markets other than the United States under the Conservative government. We are now on track to doing that.
The PM spoke inside a packed house at the University of Regina while protesters marched outside in support of the energy sector. The event took place a day after a similar but more ruckus meeting in Kamloops, BC. Before leaving Regina today, Trudeau took part in a discussion on freshwater management and made an announcement on geothermal energy development.
They were walking away.
Traffic was backed up on different parts of Highway 401 in Ontario today as First Nation activists purposely drove 50 kilometers below the speed limit. The action was a show of solidarity for members of the Unist'ot'en Nation who were up against a pipeline company and the RCMP over access to their land. Tom Fenario has the story.
We have a whole bunch of slow traffic behind us.
This is footage from Yayeda Lunya George's live Facebook feed. A convoy of cars driving 3 to 4 lanes abreast at about 50 kilometers an hour along Canada's busiest highway during the start of morning rush hour. Dubbed the rolling blockade, 2 different convoys of Haudenosaunee activists slowed traffic for hours on over 500 kilometers of Highway 401 in Ontario.
There was a call out from the people of Six Nations to the Confederacy that we do a rolling blockade in solidarity with Unist'ot'en.
Monday's arrest of 14 people at a checkpoint on the Wet'suwet'en territory in British Columbia was the catalyst for the rolling blockade. Despite being located thousands of kilometers east, George says the Haudenosaunee, commonly known as the Iroquois Confederacy, can relate.
We've all lost land. We've all had to fight for our original ways. Our grandmothers fought for it. Our ancestors fought for it. And even though they are so far from us, we are still connected as nations.
The Ontario Provincial Police were made aware of the rolling blockade ahead of time, and there were no legal ramifications for the convoys. George says while they may not have made many friends of morning commuters, they hope the message was clear.
They made an agreement with us that they would walk with us, we would walk beside each other, that we wouldn't take from each other, and that we would have a peaceful relationship with each other. And the government of Canada and the people are not holding up to that agreement, and this is just a reminder that they have a responsibility to that agreement.
Tom Fenario, APTN National News, Montreal.
And in case you missed it, here's a look back at the story that's gripped the country all week. Here's Kathleen Martins from the Unist'ot'en territory in BC.
Wednesday was day 3 of an RCMP operation here in northwestern BC. Police were taking action against a Wet'suwet'en group blocking workers from constructing the LNG natural gas pipeline. As supporters wondered how the group was doing, hereditary chiefs stepped in. They brokered a deal with the RCMP to stand down in exchange for taking down the barricades peacefully.
But this agreement is between the RCMP and ourselves, so this here does not happen to our people again.
After some of the group was arrested earlier this week here at this checkpoint. Members of the Unist'ot'en clan also wanted the pipeline stopped. but their vehicles and equipment were seized and 14 of them were arrested. So members of the Unist'ot'en clan knew the police were coming. They prepared a battleground, covered the windows with blankets, and proclaimed what they were fighting for. Instead, they got an emotional reunion and some anger about how they barricaded the bridge over the Maurice River. They were tired and concerned about the agreement chiefs made with police.
That's what the family is asking here, because they find it too dangerous during the night. People coming in all hours.
And they were upset at the company they feel put them in this position.
I do care about our people. I don't work for a corporation. I don't work for a government. I work for a nation, the Wet'suwet'en. I am a chief of this nation.
Which leaves them and their healing center forever associated with a violent confrontation and facing an uncertain future. Kathleen Martins for APTN National News, outside Houston, BC.
Following this week's events in northern BC, we have Peter Grant, the lawyer representing Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs, with us to break down some of what happened. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Grant. I appreciate it. Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs assert jurisdiction and title over their territory, including where Coastal GasLink and TransCanada want to run their pipeline. I want to get your thoughts on how the RCMP enforced the injunction, resulting in arrests made on Monday.
Well, I think the RCMP have made it clear themselves that the events of last Monday were unfortunate, and they very much wanted to meet with the hereditary chiefs to work out a solution so that there would not be that form of confrontation that we all saw in the media on Monday.
An agreement was brokered between hereditary chiefs and the RCMP. Chiefs have promised to abide by rules of the injunction. We've heard calls this is not over. So where do the chiefs go from here?
Well, I am legal counsel for the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs, and I cannot disclose the information and the nature of the discussions. But I can say what is a matter of public record is that the hereditary chiefs have made it clear that there is one issue that they've resolved, which is how to ensure that nobody is injured and ensure that the injunction, the interlocutory, which is a temporary injunction, is complied with in order to allow the company to go in to do some pre-construction work. That part they are not going to. They have indicated, and the hereditary chiefs, I was just speaking with a number of them both yesterday and today, have indicated that the wooden gate has been taken down as of today. And on the other hand, the RCMP have agreed to remove the exclusion zone so media can access it. In the long run, the Wet'suwet'en chiefs have made it clear that they have opposed this pipeline, and they have not been properly consulted, in my opinion, or addressed. And I know there's all kinds of media coverage that the company made a number of agreements with not all, but several band councils. I don't dispute that fact. The band councils do not have jurisdiction in Wet'suwet'en territory over the traditional territory. Everybody knows that within the Wet'suwet'en nation, whether they're band councillors or the hereditary chiefs. That's not a matter of dispute. The CGL has also indicated that they've made several efforts to talk to hereditary chiefs, that is, to communicate with them. Now, if you recall, a few months ago, the Federal Court of Appeal said that, or the Federal Court said that the Canada failed in its consultation regarding Kinder Morgan. And its failure in the Kinder Morgan case was because they had a number of people from Canada sit down and talk to chiefs, talk to the Aboriginal nations, with no mandate whatsoever to change their position. The Supreme Court of Canada is very clear. The parties, when they engage in consultation, must be prepared to modify what they are going to do. That has not occurred. And it's not enough to have a list of meetings and phone calls and a logs, which is what government and industry have historically done. It's not sufficient to say that is proper consultation. So the hereditary chiefs, I believe, I think I can go this far. I think they are pleased that finally the RCMP, because of the situation, and CGL says, okay, we have to talk to you. You are, and that is very important for the chiefs. They are the ones that are going to work through any addressing of the issues in this case.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Grant, for answering our questions today and giving us a little bit more background information on what's going on. I want to thank you again for joining us.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
We've been talking about pipelines all week on APTN National News, but have you ever wondered what happens after the oil dries up? That's a question that APTN Investigates reporter John Murray wanted to explore in his episode Orphans on the Land. He joins us now from Edmonton, Alberta. Thanks for joining us and chatting with us today, John. We're going to start with what made you want to chase this story?
Well, it started off as a tip, like a lot of these stories do. But what's really interesting about this story is it involves participants in the industry. You know, there's so many stories out there right now about protests and people against the industry, but these people are participating in the industry, and they have some concerns about it.
Who is responsible for cleanups on First Nations?
Well, that's the interesting thing. It's actually the oil companies that are responsible for looking after cleaning up these well sites. But oftentimes, they leave these wells sitting in a suspended state, and then when the companies go bankrupt, that's when they end up in the Orphan Wells Association inventory.
Hey, thank you. And about how much money are we talking about here for cleanup?
Well, that's the thing that's really uncertain about this. You know, the Orphan Wells Association here in Alberta alone estimates it could be anywhere from $60 to $260 billion. But that's just in Alberta alone. British Columbia also has orphan wells, Saskatchewan also has orphan wells, and there's even been some in Ontario. And then that also doesn't include other things like tailing ponds and pipelines and stuff like that. So the $260 billion, you know, that might not even be close to what the actual figure is.
Hey, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to watching. You can watch the whole episode of Orphans on the Land tonight, right after the APTN National News. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Thank you, Brittany.
We catch up with a Métis man whose career in television and movies has spanned 20 years. More on that after the break. Here's the rest of Saturday's weather forecast, picking back up in Alberta. -1 in Fort McMurray, -2 in Grand Prairie, +8 in sun in Calgary and Lethbridge. Over to the west coast, 3 degrees in Kamloops, 11 in Victoria, 2 above in Smithers, 8 in Prince Rupert. In the Yukon, -36 in sun in Mayo, -38 in Old Crow. Over to the NWT, -33 in sun in Wrigley, -27 in Fort Simpson, -33 in Colville Lake, -32 in Sax Harbor. In Nunavut, -30 in Cambridge Bay, -26 in Chesterfield. A chilly -34 in Igloolik, and -39 in sun in Arctic Bay. Welcome back. This next story is about a Métis man who had a dream to work in the film and television business, and now that dream has become a reality. APTN's Tina House has this story.
Here, give me the warm filter. Pull it out there.
Cliff Hokinson is a director of photography. He says it took a lot of hard work and determination, but he always knew that this is exactly where he's always wanted to be. For the last 20 years, Cliff has honed in on that passion, and his work has taken him around the world. He shot films with action hero Jean-Claude Van Damme in China, and in Vancouver, here he is on set with actor Martin Sheen, shooting a film called Badge of Honor. Today, he's on set shooting a music video for Curtis Clear Sky and the Constellations, featuring the Butterflies and Spirit dancers.
I started as a electrician and a grip, moving lights and moving cameras, and I built a jib arm at the Winnipeg Film Group many years ago. And then I found my evolution into camera movement, and the camera movement I became a Steadicam operator. And after Steadicam operator, I went through for my love, which is being a director of photography.
Just recently, he shot a music video for the Cree band Midnight Shine and their rendition of Neil Young's song, Heart of Gold.
I wanna live, I wanna give. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. It's these expressions I never give that keep me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old.
Shot entirely in the Cree community of Attawapiskat and featuring many local people that live in the area.
The main thing about helping Adrian in Attawapiskat with the band Midnight Shine is giving them a video the world will see to show their talents. They have incredible voices, they have incredible fan base, but we want more people to see their video because they are the artists, they are the true great musicians that the world needs to see.
And with the launch of the video on social media earlier this week, so far they've racked up 12,500 views and counting.
These projects bring my heart out and make me want to do something phenomenal. They tell incredible stories about incredible people that really help a lot of people.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
It was quite the sight for patients and staff at a hospital in Alaska.
Did they just walk in? This is the coolest thing. I'll put this on our Facebook page.
People watched in awe after a moose made its way into the building in Anchorage and chowed down on some plants in the lobby. The video shows the animal browsing around some greenery before it stands gazing at the camera, I should say. It was only inside for about 10 minutes before leaving on its own. Officials say the moose walked inside through some doors that were frozen open in the extreme cold. I think it's safe to say that moose is on the loose. That's your news for this Friday, January 11th. We'll leave you with some video of a round dance that took place in Winnipeg Thursday night. I'm Brittany Hobson. Stick around for the newest episode of Investigates. Have a great night.
Woman floats in a clear blue sky. I'm from